Hello lovelies, Dr. Maria is here. Today we will be solving February-March 2024 Paper 1 Variant 2 together. Let's have a look and start by the first question. The list contains examples of energy resources. Circle 2 renewable energy resources. Without checking out the list, before checking the list, we have to understand what the question is asking us. So the question is asking for renewable energy resources. Renewable means that we're not going to run out of that energy, okay? Non-renewable means that we will, at some point, run out of that energy resource. For instance, for renewable energy resources, we got the solar energy, we got the wind energy, we got the tidal energy. It's always there, okay? Like, for instance, the solar energy, we always got the sun out there. It's shining every single day, okay? Same goes with the tidal. We got the oceans, we got the waves, everything, and with the winds, okay? Here in the list, it gave us nuclear, geothermal, coal, oil, biogas. I forgot to mention an example for non-renewable. Non-renewable resources are like fossil fuels, okay? We can run out of them. We will run out of them if we keep on depleting them without finding an alternative. So the renewable energy resources here, I chose geothermal and biogas, okay, because there are no other options than these. Geothermal. Let's dissect the word. Geo means earth or ground. Thermal means heat. So geothermal means heat from the earth. When we drill a land or a part of land or area anyways, if we drill that part and cooled it to use the thermal energy from it, it's gonna heat up again. Why? Because we're drilling up to the core, okay? Or we're drilling and the earth got this very hot core that will keep the earth crusts very hot, okay? So we don't have to worry about losing the earth's heat. It's gonna regenerate its heat on its own. Biogas is the energy that comes from decomposers, okay? Comes from decomposition of organic matters, such as plants or like organic manure that comes from cattle and organisms. Okay? Let's see why not nuclear, coal, or oil. Coal and oil come from fossil fuels and plants and stuff, so they come from sedimentation and building up for millions of years, so we will at some point run out of them. Nuclear comes from radioactive elements that are scarce and they're not abundant, so when we run out of them, we will run out of them for good. Okay, next question. The diagram shows how ocean tides are used to generate electricity. Before anything, read the question, and by question I mean this question, read it, and then we will go back to check the diagram. The question says, describe how ocean tides are used to generate electricity using the diagram to support your answer. We're going to start from right to left, okay, using the purple arrows. As you can see, we are in an ocean, okay? Here we got water, and here we got water, okay? The direction of water goes from right to left, where we can see the turbine blades, where we can see a generator, okay? And here we got the sluice gates. Why are these there? Why are gates? Gates mean it's blocking, okay? Since we got a gate, it's blocking. So what are we blocking? We're blocking, or we are controlling the tidal flow or the amount of water inside there, okay? To prevent damaging the turbine blades, okay? Because a lot of pressure will damage the turbine blades, so it's controlling the flow, the tidal flow. So using the diagram, we're gonna say as tidal comes in, the tidal basin fills up. This is the tidal basin, fills up with water, turning the turbine blades, and the turbine turns a generator. The electricity generated as water flows both ways. Make sure to have a look at the number of marks present. You have to always write one extra point. Of course, you can write more details than this by talking about the barrage, by talking about the sluice gates, which is going to be asked in the next question. You can write about it too. And use as many points as you can, okay? Like write as many points as you can. Third question says, the barrage in the diagram has sluice gates. Suggest the function of sluice gates. As I said, it controls the tidal flow, prevents strong tides damaging the turbine, and allows the basin to be filled with water. You can count on this answer to be the best one. Controls the tidal flow. It's easiest and best to remember. Jumping on next question here, it says describe one benefit and one limitation. If the question asks for one, do not do as I did. I was just writing options for you to have a look. So if you just didn't have time to look at the mark scheme, you can have all the answers in one PDF. Okay. So here, the easiest thing to say it's renewable because we're using the tidal energy. Okay. We're using the tides, the water. So it's renewable. It's always there. Let me highlight it for you. Renewable is the easiest. Okay. So write renewable. It's also available. It's inexpensive to run. Long-lasting equipment, predictable energy generation, non-pollutants release, doesn't produce sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide such as burning, okay, like fossil fuels and stuff. Limitation is that it needs large land. Let's just say it causes visual pollution. It's the easiest one for you. And also we can say it needs deep water. Okay, that's easy. Need large area, needs deep water, as we said, because we're talking about ocean here, so it needs deep water. Suitable location are scarce. Not every country have ocean. That's important point too. Disrupting shipping, expensive to build, cables might be broken. Unknown environmental impacts on long-term visual pollution, which can affect the tourism. And you can expand this point to writing that if tourism is affected, so will the economy be affected. The economy will be affected due to the tourism, okay? But that you can write this point in a 3-marked question, not in this here because it said only one limitation. And name any environmental impacts such as silting, disruption of marine ecosystem and food chains, and also the organisms or the marine organisms might get killed in the process of installation of the equipment. Second question. Using words from the list to complete the sentences describing soils as a medium for plant growth, we get carbon dioxide, nitrate, phosphate, potassium, and water. Using each word once, more than once, or not at all. Soils provide nitrogen, then we're going to talk about nitrates. Phosphorus, then we're going to talk about phosphate. And the organic content of the soil is important because it helps soil to retain what? Of course, water. Okay? Plants get their carbon dioxide mainly from air. Let's have a look. Second question says, plants photosynthesize to provide substances and energy needed for growth. State the word equation for photosynthesis. We got water, carbon dioxide will give us glucose and oxygen. As we know that photosynthesis is the main metabolic reaction that happens to provide the plant with its necessary food. Okay, so it gives food, which is glucose here. So first thing you write glucose, and then it gives a waste product, which is the oxygen. We need the oxygen, okay, for respiration. The two limiting factors we got is water and carbon dioxide. So water and carbon dioxide will give us glucose and waste product, which is oxygen. Say the substance found in some plants, because some plants got other different colors like red petals and red leaves and stuff, that absorbs light energy during photosynthesis. It's chlorophyll, okay? Chloroplast might be counted right, but it's not specific, so I recommend being straight to the point and very specific, especially if the question asked for pigment. If the question said pigment, you should write chlorophyll, and chloroplast will not be accepted. Third question, very colorful. Let's have a look. The map. Before anything, take a look at the map, understand what it's talking about. First thing you have to notice that it's not labeled, so you at least have to know these. Okay, knowing this is Asia, this is Africa from this little river, or whatever, or Nile, whatever. Anyways, but that's not what the question will be asking us, so you don't have to worry. First question says, label with an X a cold ocean current. So as you can see here, it's cold, and in the middle it's hot. Okay, let's complete the question. In the Indian Ocean. So we're not looking at this part, we're not looking at this part, nor the North Pacific, nor the North Atlantic. We're looking at the Indian here, okay? Why did I choose this arrow to put X on it? Because as I said, we got here at the bottom, it's the cold water, okay? And like at the poles, it's cold. And in the middle, it's hot. Why? Because sun rays are always directed at the equator. This is the equator. So you got rays everywhere. So it's hot. And the earth keeps on rotating. So this will make the equator hot. Okay? So if we want cold ocean current, it has to come from here or from here. Like from here or from here. Okay? That's it. So since it's coming from down to up, I'm going to choose this one. Okay? Draw on the map. Draw on the map the major ocean currents in the North Pacific. Major ocean currents will go like this. I think I forgot to annotate it, but it should go like this, as I said, from cold to hot. Okay? Part B says many marine fisheries are found where ocean currents meet or are found on continental shelves. Explain how ocean currents and continental shelves affect the distribution of marine fisheries. Okay, coastal areas got great amount of fish there. Okay, why? Let's have a look at the question. The question asks us to talk about the ocean currents and the continental shelves. Let's start by the ocean currents. Ocean currents bring food and bring nutrients, and they keep circling and causing upwelling. Upwelling is when the nutrients come from bottom to the top, okay? And they keep circling like that. So that will bring food for the consumers and nutrients, and also like exchange the warm water with cold water, okay? Making it more rich in oxygen for the fish. Okay? Continental shells, they are shallow, so light can penetrate to the aquatic plants so they can photosynthesize. The nutrients come from rivers, phytoplankton, and plants form base of the food chains because they are the producers, and so the plants will consume them. Mainly the plants will consume the phytoplankton, okay? And fisheries are more accessible at the continental shelves, which means the coastal areas. Talking this area is the coastal area, the area between the water and the land. Nice. Jumping on to the fourth question. Fourth question, as you can see here, it's a photograph. For reading, have a look at the photograph and see what we're seeing. We're seeing mountains, we're seeing the sky, and we're seeing a volcano. Okay. That volcano is on a plate boundary. Suggest the type of plate boundary that whatever volcano is found on. It's destructive because it's like that. It comes from the plates pushing towards each other. Okay? I have a trick from that to know towards each other they're going to push like this. Okay? And it's going to make a mountain. Okay? Away from each other, it's not going to make that big of a mountain. So how do you know the difference between destructive and constructive? Constructive, I always remember it as this. Constructive is away. So I remember it by AC. I remember it by AC. This is so easy to remember, the AC word. Okay, constructive means away. Away means constructive. And towards each other means destructive. So it's easy. So since This is a volcano. Let me just do this so you can understand this is a volcano. This is a volcano, okay? So it's destructive, which is shown by the picture. Okay, jumping on to the next question. The whatever volcano is very active. It erupted several times in the past 20 years. In 2000, a group of volunteers from local communities started to monitor the volcano, suggest the benefits and limitations of this strategy for managing the impacts of the future eruption. When we read the question, start to underline or highlight important keywords such as me, like I did. Here, I made sure to highlight volunteers from local communities, meaning from the area, okay? And how will that help us in the future? The benefits of this is that the volunteers are local, so they're committed to monitoring and they will be present there all the time, so they will know better than outsiders. And the people will trust them more because they volunteer and they are local. Community give an early warning of eruption to help people evacuate the area or think about evacuation plans or emergency plans. Education for the community educates the community about the risks of volcanic eruptions. The limitations. Data may not be reliable or valid or scientific, okay? They might miscount anything. It requires a lot of volunteers because people are not going to be glued to their specific areas all the time. It requires volunteers to be trained on how to monitor, what to do in case of an emergency, and who do they report to, and more. And it could be dangerous. Of course it's dangerous, okay? Of course it's dangerous. We're talking about volcanic eruptions, so it's very dangerous. There is a small town near the volcano. Explain 2 reasons why people choose to live close to the volcano. I have more than 1 reason, okay? And he said only 2 reasons, so we're gonna stick to only 2 reasons. Here, fertile soils. Why? Because the minerals comes from underground and erupts, okay? So this increases the crop production, which will have an impact economically because it increases the crop yield and more exportation and more money. Very good. Second point is extraction of minerals. What minerals? Like diamonds, which can be sold for profit, or if we're talking about the crops here, we can say exportation of crops, which will also be sold for profit. Okay, more points are here. Geothermal energy comes from it, okay? So it can produce, it's going to be warm, okay? The area that it's around the volcano is going to be warmer. So it will produce heat to run homes and provide electricity. Volcanoes bring tourists because they're excited to see the minerals and the fertile. And by minerals, there will be a lot of diamonds there. So that's something interesting for tourists to go and see. There will be tour guides there, so that will create job opportunities and income. Traditional home can't afford to move, or they are attached to their homes, or they got like family in there. Suitable land for town, flat land, trusting the monitoring system and the government, perceived to be low risk, and more. Okay, you can just any point that makes sense, you can write it here, but have a solid reason behind your answer, okay? So you can explain it. During an eruption in 2006, the volcano emitted 12,000 tons of sulfur dioxide gas that reached a height of 8 kilometers in the atmosphere. State the layer of the atmosphere that contains the sulfur dioxide. Troposphere being the first layer, okay? Okay, next question. Sulfur dioxide gas is an atmospheric pollutant. I don't know why I'm tired and we haven't reached half of the paper yet, but it's okay. Sulfur dioxide gas is an atmospheric pollutant. We know this. That comes mainly from any burning, okay? Explain how sulfur dioxide gas causes the acidification of lakes. Sulfur dioxide reacts with water, which forms sulfuric acid. So when it reacts with water and forms sulfuric acid, it will be causing precipitation of acidic rain. Okay, precipitation means falling, so falling of acidic rain. So this whole reaction of sulfur reacting with water, it reacts in the sky where it binds to the water vapor, causing the sulfuric acid. Okay, so that sulfuric acid will precipitate with the water vapor and stuff, causing as acid rain. Since we're talking about lakes here, so we're gonna say that it affects the lakes by running off to them, okay, like falling into water bodies and lakes, and will lower the pH, and if will lower pH there, affecting the aquatic organisms, disrupting the food chain. But if we're talking about buildings or something and they didn't specify what the effect of acidification does, we're gonna say that it's so acidic that it can cause melting of stages. Okay, stature. Next question. The photograph shows maize growing on Subsistence farm in Africa. Subsistence. Yeah, Subsistence. Anyways. You see this? You see this? You see this? You see this? Here it's clearly labeled that he said this area, it's the farmer's home. And this is the small land he has in order to make his crops or grow his crops in. And as you can see, there are two different types of crops here. You can differentiate and know exactly what is it. He said the question said maize, but you can't know for sure what the crop types are. But you can judge that this is long, as you can see here I labeled it, and this is short. So you know this is small, this is big. So different ones, okay? Identify one feature from the photograph that shows that this is the subsistence agriculture. Subsistence means that the farmer is growing for him and his family, okay? He's not gonna sell them, okay? Okay? Okay. So how do we know? We know that the farmer's home is here and it's only a small land, okay? So it's a small scale. Other crops are visible. We don't know the banana crops, okay? I have no idea what the crops look like. So we can just say that they got other crops growing too, or different types of crops due to the difference of length, if you want to explain, okay, here and here. Or simply say mixed crops. Crops grown around the home, obviously. That's all it is. Adding fertilizers is one technique used to increase the yield of maize or crop yield. Identify two other techniques that this farmer is using to increase the yield of maize. First things first, use the labeling of the on the picture where it says irrigation is here. Okay, so use this in your answer. It's safe and good. So irrigation. And as you can see, there's good difference between the plants, okay, between each row and the other, or column and the other. So it's wide spaced crops. Weeds have been removed. You don't see any foreign plants, as you can see here. They all look quite the same here. Okay, so there are no weeds. There is irrigation. They are taller crops. Taller crops are here. Sheltering other crops or making a shelter belt. Open site. Crops grown on a slope facing the sun. Plants. They're not shaded. I'm not quite sure about this part. It's hard to think about in the exam with the stress and stuff. But the one mark you can guarantee for yourself is irrigation, since it is already labeled. Okay? And this one. And also the taller crops. It's easy. It's noticeable. Like, you don't have to think about it. It's already there in the photo. The bar chart shows the effect on the yield of maize of adding different fertilizers to different fields. Let's have a look before doing anything. Okay? For one, you see here that you got a key. Okay, that key says that N is nitrogen-based fertilizer, P is phosphorus, K is potassium, and PK got all and OF means organic fertilizers, and none. For your information, we have to know that none means group. And you might know this from other subjects such as biology and stuff, but you have to know that none is very important if you're carrying out any investigation or anything or trying anything at all. You have to set a control group, okay? So saying none or no fertilizers added means it's a control group, okay? The difference between these three, the N alone and P alone and K alone, it's not big, okay? They're seemingly similar. Same goes with the NPK and the organic fertilizers. The yield of maize decreased just a little bit here, like there's only a tiny bit of difference between each one, okay? On conclusion from the data is that adding fertilizers made from a mixture of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium gives the highest yield of maize per hectare. State one other conclusion from the data. It said one, so you only have to say that there is no or little difference in crop yield, okay? You can say that organic manure is nearly as effective as the NPK. You can say that the NPK alone, okay, they got similar yields, okay? Adding fertilizers based on one mineral ions gives very small increase in crop yield, as you can see. Compared to them, the NPK got way greater yield than the K alone, or the P alone, or the N alone, okay? And anyways, adding fertilizers will give you more than the none. As you can see, the difference is really little, but it does, okay? So you can mention that as well. Explain why fertilizer was not added to one of the fields of maize. The none, because it's a control group. State two types of organic fertilizers. Organic fertilizers, this, we've talked about it in the first question, saying it's manure or it's from plants, saying vegetation or crop residue. Describe how the overuse of fertilizers can lead to death of aquatic organisms. Let's start this little story from the top. When fertilizers, here we got crops, okay? This is crops, and we added fertilizers, okay? The fertilizers will run off to a lake, for instance. We got a lake here, and it will run off to the lake. When it runs off to the lake, nitrates is the main or the boss here for today. The nitrates will make a huge effect. So nitrates will leach into the water bodies, like rivers or lakes or whatever. This nitrate is needed for algae. So algae needed for growth will cause algal bloom. When algal bloom happens, it will be making, this is algae and this is water. Okay, so this layer will block sunlight. This is the sun, and it will block the sun from penetrating down to the aquatic plants, okay? Reducing or blocking the light at all reaching the plants. They will die as they cannot photosynthesize because they need carbon dioxide, water, and they need sunlight. It's very important, okay? Bacteria will then decompose on these dead plants, using up the oxygen in the water, and when they use up the oxygen in the water, the oxygen content in the water will decrease, causing the aquatic organisms to not respire, leading them to death. And this whole process of leaching or overuse of fertilizers on the water body is called eutrophication. Okay, I wrote tons of points here. You have to write it in this sequence in any question, okay? Any question asked, write this whole entire paragraph. If you took it one by one, step at a time, understanding that it started by leaching, then algal bloom, then think about what algal bloom could possibly do by blocking sunlight, and who needs the sunlight? The plants. And who need the plants? The fish and aquatic animals. So if the plants die, then the fish are gonna die, and then The oxygen will also be used up due to the bacteria as they got dead plants to feed on, okay? So decomposition will happen. Think about it as a little story and always write, it's known as eutrophication. In the mark scheme, you're not gonna find this, but write it, okay? Sometimes they write it in most mark schemes and it's needed. Okay, question 6 says, CFCs are known as ozone depleting substances because they destroy the ozone in the atmosphere. The table below shows the emission of ozone depleting substances from 1980 to 2015. Here is the table. As you can see, we got the lowest number is 0.3 and the highest one is 1.3, pardon. So here we're gonna be needing, the question is asking us to plot a straight line between each plotted point, okay? If he asked for a straight line, then we got two options to think about. Point to point, best fit. Point to point is that if I plot it here, 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 I'm going to take 1, and then 2, and then 3, okay? I don't care. But if it's asked for best fit and I got one here or something and other here, 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 okay, I'm gonna take best fit, I'm gonna go like that, okay? Crossing as many or going through as many points as I possibly can. This is the labeling of the axis. It's important, okay? Make sure you got the axis labeled right. You got a correct scale, okay? You plotted the points correctly. When you plot the points, you plot them by X or by a dot around a circle, but preferably X, okay? Cross is better. And also you followed the key or like the table, okay? And in case they gave you something more here, I don't know, whatever, okay, in case they gave you any other like dependent variable here, you're going to make a key and differentiate between them, okay? Saying that the crossed ones here will be about the ozone depleting and the dot around the circle will be the other thing they gave you, okay? Just if you got more than 2 set of data, you have to make a key. Explain how CFCs destroy ozone. CFCs enter the stratosphere. They stay in the atmosphere for a long time. CFCs are broken down by the ultraviolet light, releasing chlorine. Chlorine will react with the ozone chlorine atom, regenerated, so reactions continue and chain reactions happen where it keeps on reacting and reacting till the ozone has a big circle in it, okay, and starts depleting. Describe the benefits and limitation of strategies to reduce the impact of CFCs. The benefits here, we got ozone preserved. Ozone layer will return to original levels. Ozone will prevent the UV light from reaching the earth, okay? Reduces cataracts, skin cancers, because the cataracts and skin cancers are caused by the UV light exposure. Reduces the damage to the plant tissue, and most countries follow international policies. Now this one is hard to think about, the last point, so just make sure you know any of these, okay? In this question, it never said, like it didn't specify how many benefits and limitations they want, so you can write as many as you want, okay? At least 3 in each, okay? Limitations here, many appliances, many devices and appliances use CFCs. Alternatives are not sufficient or not as efficient as CFCs. Not all countries can afford the alternatives. Policies require all countries to participate, so countries might not. Some countries might follow and the others might not. Difficult to enforce and monitor the policies. And CFCs remain in the atmosphere for a long period of time, and they contribute an enhanced greenhouse effect, which is part of global warming. Okay. Next question is the table here shows the distribution of fresh water on Earth. Yappa, yappa, yappa. Calculate the volume of fresh water Here we got the ice sheets, glacier, and we got the groundwater, and we got the lakes and rivers and the atmosphere, okay? In total, they calculated and gave us 35 million, okay? So here they're asking for the volume of the atmosphere. So what you're gonna do is that you will get the volume, the total volume, okay, and subtract it from these. That's it. So you're gonna add these and then subtract it from the total, and you will get the volume. And don't forget the unit. The unit here is cubic kilometers. You can either write it in words or write it like this as I wrote it in the answer. Calculate the ratio of volume of lakes and rivers compared to the volume of ice sheets and glaciers. So here we're going to divide them, okay? And it will give us 1 over 196. State one other natural form for stored frozen water on Earth. Frozen water on Earth. Yeah, frozen water we can't really write underground water. It's not gonna be counted right. Okay, so stick to permafrost. Permafrost is like a layer like that of land or whatever, and then you got ice here. So it's kind of trapped. Okay, but like underground water is not really correct, so you can just skip it. The diagram shows the volume of water in liters needed to produce 1 kg of different foods. Describe how people can change their diets to reduce the volume of water used in food production. Use data from the diagram to support your answer. We got vegetables, we got fruits, we got milk, wheat, eggs, chicken meat, sheep and goat meat. As you can see, the number of people using these things, okay? Use the data from the diagram to support your answer. Eat a diet low in meat because we got lots of people eating meat, okay? A lot of people. Eat more plant-based food because less people are eating them, okay? And compare the data. Compare data means you're gonna say that a lot of people are eating this much meat compared to the chicken meat, or you can say the vegetables, like you can write the percentage difference between people eating the sheep goat meat compared to the vegetables, okay? That's what meant by comparative data. You're gonna use the data given in the chart. In many areas, safe drinking water is unavailable. This means that water-related diseases are more common. Whatever is a water-related disease that causes liver and kidney failure, like cholera, and whatever is a bacterial disease. I don't want to try reading this. I think I will get a stroke. Suggest how people can avoid catching that disease by education and raising awareness. That's the number one point that you can write in any question that talks about any disease, okay? Write, educate, and raise awareness to people. Boil drinking water, chlorinated. Don't use contaminated water to prepare food. Don't swim in rivers. Don't wash in it. Don't excrete in it. Cover cuts and wounds. Wash hands frequently. Good personal hygiene. Improve sanitation. Raising awareness about how to wash your hands correctly. Write any point that makes sense and you will get the mark. I think this is the last question. Right? Yep. Last question says, the map shows the annual change in forest area for countries between 2010 and 2015. As you can see, this is what I meant by key. They gave you different data. They gave you a couple datas, like the no data and the increasing forest area data and the decreasing forest area data, okay? So they made a key. Similarly, you're gonna do the same if they asked you to plot a bar graph, line graph, or pie chart, or whatever. As you can see, the chart here, or the map, is not annotated, okay? The answer in the mark scheme kept repeating Asia and South America and Europe and Oceania, but that's really not important in order to guarantee all the marks, okay? Just make sure you know Africa and Asia is more than enough for me, okay? And if you knew South America, that's gonna be chef's kiss, okay? Describe the distribution of countries with increasing forest areas. Most of Asia, most of Europe. Okay, what we're looking at the gray one, okay? As you can see, this is the gray. Gray is here, somewhere here. Here in Africa, we got little and north. We got none here. We got none here. And none in South Africa. And none here. Okay? So, most of Asia, most of Europe. Most of Asia here. Most of Europe and west coast of South America. Okay. This is north, this is south, this is east, and this is west, okay? So when he said west coast of South America, as you can see, this is South America, okay? And this is the west coast. Coast meaning that it's the area between land and water, okay? Like coast as coastal. Some parts of Oceania. And here, my answer is this one, as I said, around the Tropic of Cancer, above the equator, northwest of Africa, mainly in Asia. Okay, I don't have to talk in great details about or know the continents in order to be able to formulate my answer, but I would recommend learning the labeling of the map, like knowing the continents. Okay, it's very important. But if you forget them in the exam, just make sure you know Asia and Africa at least and use them in your answer, and try using the tropic levels to complete your answer. Okay, it's just 2-mark question, but still, you gotta make sure, okay? A country can increase its forest area by reforestation and afforestation strategies. Compare these two strategies. Both involve planting trees, okay? Afforestation is on ground that was not previously forested, okay? Like didn't have any forest or plants before. Reforestation, you're doing thing again, okay? Reforestation. So you're gonna plant trees again on the land that already had trees before. Afforestation allows additional area to be forested. Like for instance, if I got a new land, it's bare, okay? Like I got no trees on it, so I'm going to plant trees there for the very first time, okay? So it allows me to afforest again. Reforestation, it only covers the same area as you keep planting the land over and over and over again, okay? That's the difference. Reforestation meaning I am doing it again, like recycling, replacing, okay? I'm doing it again and again. Young forests act as carbon sinks and mature forests act as carbon stores. Okay? Describe the trends shown by the data. Here, as you can see, there is an increase in the young forest and slight decrease in the mature forest. So we can see the percentage of mature decreases and the percentage of young forest increases. The total area, there is decrease if you judged it, and small increase in mature starts from the 2000 to 2022. As you can see, this is the increase. After it came down here, it started increasing at this part, okay? And show comparative data. Compare between the mature forest and the young forest. Calculate the percentage of the world's forest in mature. So here, we're comparing, this is the mature area, mature forest area. We got the lowest point, 2022, okay? The lowest point here was 13. The highest point here is 38. And be precise, absolutely precise, okay? Get as close to the paper as you could in order to be precise about finding the correct point or measurements. Here it's 38 minus 13 will give us 25, and we will divide that by the big number, which is 38, and then since he asked for percentage, we're going to multiply it by 100. Okay, it will give us 65.8. In environmental, make sure to write in 3 significant figures. That's the best thing you could do. Okay, 3 significant figures, or 2 significant figures. Like, you could only write it 66%, okay? Don't get more than that. Don't get less than that. Definitely not 1 significant figure, okay? But if you wrote it 4 significant figures, it could be accepted, and 2 could be accepted. But the best and ideal one is 3 significant figures. Last question. A landowner wants to extract timber from 10,000 hectares of forest. The landowner says extracting timber from forest has more benefits than negative impacts. Before writing, start thinking, how are you going to affect that land if you cut all of the trees from it? How? Let's think about negativities before the positives, okay? Negatives is that you're going to destroy the habitat. You got animals and organisms living there. Now they will migrate, okay? They will migrate due to the noise pollution. They will migrate because they lost their habitat. That will affect the biodiversity. And since we're cutting trees, we're gonna affect the climate because more carbon dioxide will be produced and less oxygen will be produced. The carbon concentration will increase, causing enhanced greenhouse effect, causing global warming. And if there is no any plans for reforestation, I didn't say afforestation, okay, because they were previously the land previously had plants or trees on it, okay, so we're gonna say reforestation. It will affect the planet on the long run, and it's not good, okay. And if we're talking about tourism, it's gonna affect tourism. It's gonna affect people who are hunting. It's going to affect and disrupt the food chains due to the biodiversity. But if we said about the benefits, we're gonna say that it will create jobs, provide money, it will be used for heating homes, timber can be used for construction, fuel, or sold, it will create new habitats, okay, like you can use the land for landowners, provide money for landowners and houses for family, use the area for education. Not quite convinced by this one, but it was there in the mark scheme. Create land for agriculture and livestock. That's a good one. And yeah, that's it. In these type of question, guys, make sure you write both sides. Write the positive and the negative. Write the benefits and the negative impacts, okay? And always write your opinion, because the question will ask, do you agree with this statement, or to what extent do you agree with this statement, or what's your opinion, or share your opinion. The question will definitely write one of these, okay? So make sure you say you partially agree, or you start by saying I agree because, and then later on the question and in your answer you'll write I disagree. But you have to write both sides, okay? And you have to clearly state your opinion, because that's just 1 mark you should get, okay? You should get it. It's so easy. Write your opinion. They care about your opinion. And if you can write a recommendation at the end, like by saying you can like cut the timber trees and then reforest them again so that the planet won't be greatly affected, that would be even better, okay? Quick tips in order to solve better. If you're solving your very first exam, guys, it's okay to make mistakes. It's fine. Take your time. Don't use timer in the first time. It's okay. Breathe, relax, learn. If you faced issues solving any past paper at all, take the time to understand which topics that you face most difficulties in. Go study them again. Watch thousands of videos. Read thousands of passages and notes. Do your thing. Be confident, and then try again solving that paper or that specific question again, okay? highlight the keywords that you forgot or never ever heard about, okay? Always have and check from the mark scheme. Don't just check from the notes. I know students that used to check their answers from only the notes. No, check from the mark scheme because they got extra notes in there. And when you keep on solving a lot and a lot, that's very important, by the way, to solve a lot. When you keep on solving, you will be exposed to the keywords more and more each time. So you will know exactly what the question is asking. Like, for instance, the eutrophication question, where it was asked like how the fertilizers run off to the lakes and stuff. The keywords are the same in every question. Like, they might reduce the keywords I wrote. Like, I wrote tons of keywords up there. Let's get the question. Here, I wrote tons of keywords. They might not write this much. They might write only 4 or 3 or something, depending on the marks of the question. But the keywords are the same everywhere, okay? Trust yourself. Keep solving. Don't give up. Ask questions. And don't forget to join my Telegram group, where I share all the materials and I share the doubt questions and I explain points and I do everything to help you as much as I can. You can always feel free to ask me questions. I will be there for you and I will do my best in answering all of them. That is it. The solved PDF, you will find it on my Telegram group in case you want it for studying or viewing or reading or whatever. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching and best of luck.